Hi, everybody. Russ and Miami as 11. Do you get deja vu, Lucas, sometimes? Anyway,
Yeah,
I
I
hope
do.
you're safe and well for new channel. Please consider subscribing, hitting the bell icons you made aware anytime we put new content on. As always, we thank our channel sponsors, Untuck It. Today's guest, we've had him on the live show quite a lot. As I said, I love interviewing people outside of London and Essex. And as I said, Lucas isn't from either. I forgot to press record, so that's why we're doing this again. He's from the Netherlands. It's Lucas. How are we, Lucas?
I'm doing very fine. Thanks for having me on. You?
Yeah, I'm all right. I'm just as fine as a minute ago when you asked me the same question. But yeah. We were just saying, obviously, before we forgot to press record, that it's nice that we don't have to worry about West Ham this weekend, as we're only playing on a Monday, so that's not too bad. And this will go out on the Sunday, so it's so hopefully Monday, we'll beat Sheffield United, and the world will be a better place again.
Yep. Yeah. The English do play a lot of games, though. Like sometimes 3 times over, like just three days in between. Then they play another game. We have like sometimes 1.5 a week in between games or something. But the English do play a lot of games. So
yeah, we do. Yeah, we do play a lot of games, and I mean that's one sort of advantage, I want to say, after having been knocked out of the FA Cup now, is we've got nothing to play for apart from our league position now. So it's one game a week, you know what I mean? And I think we're a bit burnt out, I'll be honest. I think we've burnt ourselves out a little bit. So I think a week, one game a week or thereabouts, I think that will do us. That should do us. That should do us. So hopefully we'll have a good second half of the season. I think it's second half now. So yeah, no, it's all good. But how have you been in general, man, in this crazy world we live in?
Well, I mean, I'm trying to be busy with school, of course, except for football and etc. We're all online here as well. I assume it's as well so in England. So we're all on lockdown, and I'll just be doing online school. It is a little bit cold, so I had the ability to do ice skate today, which was pretty nice. But
cool.
The temperatures are very very low these days.
That's not too bad. And in terms of how the Dutch government is looking after you, it's similar to sort of obviously UK government. We've been under lockdown for quite some time now. Has that been the same in the Netherlands as well?
Well, yeah, I think to compare them both, the Dutch government is a little bit less stricter. I think the English are more strict, but what they are keep saying in the media and what the people from the government believe is that there is like some British some how do you call it, some version, let's say some version of the coronavirus in England. They're very scared for it somehow, so that's why we're all in lockdown now and trying to keep it as less as possible. But well, I hope we'll just pull through and get out of this as soon as we can.
I hope so. I hate the fact that everyone's, all the fans can't go to football and it's all behind closed doors, and I think it loses some intensity from the players, definitely from some players. I don't think West Ham is the case, but definitely, so you'd want it to be a level playing field, I think, and it is. I suppose there's no one's got any fans in the stadiums, but I think some clubs, their fans make a bigger impact than others. And I think that's pretty obvious in the tighter grounds, sort of like the Burnleys of this world and Bramall Lanes and stuff, and Fulham and stuff like that. So, and I do feel sorry for like the Fulham fans and maybe the West Brom fans as well, in that, they could easily go a whole season and not see. I mean, the chances are they're not going to be back by the end of the season, fans. So they could have gone the whole season without seeing their team back in the Premier League, because they're more likely to be relegated, which is horrible when you think about it. But yeah, at least West Ham are keeping us entertained. We're doing all right, aren't we?
Yeah, I'm always like, as long as the English football continues, I'm fine. They can do anything, but not the English football. Just let them play. That's all I want.
Just let them play. Don't worry about anyone else. As long as the English are playing, and I think that's the same here as well. To be honest, I think there was about 100 days where we didn't have any football, that was weird. That was weird. I mean, even during the close season now, obviously the close season, it wasn't much. It was only a few weeks really from one season stopped and the other one started. But still, we're so used to this deluge of football and all these games that, when they sort of turn the tap off, we didn't know what to do for ourselves, to be honest. But hey ho, doesn't really matter. As I said, as long as West Ham are doing all right, I don't think I could cope with lockdown and West Ham not doing well this season. Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah,
it's one less thing we have to worry about, which
it
is
would have
quite
been
nice at
very
the moment.
depressing, but at least we have one
Yeah.
thing.
Exactly. We have one thing. That's good. Now, obviously, I'm not detecting a Cockney accent there, Lucas.
Oh no.
Something about it. You know, I'm a bit of a sleuth when it comes to those things. So the question I would ask you is, because obviously you come on this live shows and stuff like that, talk very eloquently about West Ham, and stuff like that. Is why West Ham, Lucas? Why is it your club, man?
Well, the reason because it was back in 2016. We were going to London on a holiday, and we're big football fans. So I like to see, I like to watch English football and not Dutch football and German football. And then we figured, oh, let's visit some stadiums in London, And West Ham was the first stadium which we visited. Upton Park, still back in 2016, which was great. I wasn't able to actually go into the stadium, but we were like outside the stadium, just go in the fan shop and buy some scarves and see how the atmosphere is there. And that was really great to see. And just because it was the first stadium of all, I figured, well, let's keep following them, and that's how you end up getting a West Ham fan. It's pretty unlikely for people here in the Netherlands to support West Ham. They don't really know West Ham, but I do, and I like seeing them. And it's something different than Manchester United or Chelsea or Arsenal. It's something different, and I like that. So yeah.
Well, luckily, West Ham was the first. You could have ended up at, I don't know, Tottenham. You could have gone to Tottenham Stadium first, and then God knows, and you're a lifetime at West. Suppose you've got a lifetime of misery being a West Ham fan now, Lucas. But different type of misery. And it's one of those things, isn't it? It's a weird twist of fate. As you said, the first game, the first stadium you saw, that was it. And and you didn't even go in. It's just, and I know what you mean. There's sort of something. Upton Park, there was something atmospheric about the outside, wasn't there? In terms of, it was just an amazing place, and it was a real buzz, particularly match days, but obviously even not match days. You drive past and you could. I think there's something about when you have, and it's indicative of modern football. In fact, that these stadiums aren't around any much now, where you've got sort of a stadium in the middle of like a town, in the middle of a street. Do you know what I mean? So like,
that's pretty English.
Yeah, like Upton Park or Bramall Lane's the same, and a few others where you literally, you turn a corner and there's a stadium, and then I think it looks even more impressive because you've got the rest of the shops, flats, whatever around it, and you have this huge thing. If you're going to London Stadium or Emirates or Wembley, and it's sort of on its own, you've got nothing to compare it to. Like juxtapositioning next to it, so it's like I think that's one of the reasons why a lot of people loved West Ham, because it was it's just there, it was just like in front of you. No, I get that. That's a cool thing to do, man. That's a cool thing to be like in that zone, so to speak, and because of that, you decided to stay with us, which we love. Fair play to you, man. Fair play to you.
Well, yeah, which you could definitely feel, the atmosphere walking around the West Ham Stadium, even though there wasn't a match going on or something. But for example, when you indeed go to the Tottenham or something, we felt that the West Ham was different, and you can see the people actually walking out in front of the stadium, etc. And we were actually going there, and that was also something pretty cool. We were going to the stadium, and we were buying a scarf coming out of the fan shop, and we were asking, can we look into the stadium. We want to see if it's possible to actually see the pitch and all. They say no, it's fortunately not possible. They have practice going on, and players are coming to practice. So we walked out, and then a couple of players walked by. I think Adrian was and Payet, and then suddenly, like behind us, some other guy just pulled in his car, and there were a couple of fans standing there, and they immediately went to him. So we're like, oh, it's probably a player, and so we took a picture and had a nice talk with him. He was a very nice guy. We're from the Netherlands. Oh yeah, welcome to West Ham, and it eventually ended up being Mark Noble. So walking into Mark Noble in your first day of being a West Ham fan is pretty cool.
That is pretty cool. And that's the thing. I mean, yeah, you're right. They did a lot of training at the old girl sometimes, and that's really cool. And I think that's something about West Ham in general, and something like Mark Noble is indicative of that. Is there's a real sort of old school mentality around West Ham in terms of how they react, so like Mark and Deck and people like that, and that rubs off on players and fans definitely. And I think that's why it's often the criticism of some players, at West Ham is that they don't interact with the fans as much, but I think it's something about that your upbringing. I mean, Mark was always a West Ham fan, so Deck was always around football as well. I think it might be something for British mentality, as you said. It's like there's something about the English, the Premier League, and sort of they sort of smaller stadiums, and there's definitely something about it, and there's something about West Ham as well, definitely in terms of how they interact. I mean, I know it firsthand. I'm like with ex-players particularly. We've someone I know, his dad's not very well, so I've gone around and sort of text a few players, ex-players. Oh, do you mind like doing a little video? And to be honest, they've all come back within like 5 minutes, and it just sort of thinks, God, they must actually like still love the club. They love the fans and love the club, and Mark's indicative of that, definitely. So seeing him on your first day, seeing the modern day Mr. West Ham, that's a good one, isn't it? That is a good one.
Yeah, that's great. That's awesome.
Yeah, that is. And as you said once, and then obviously you go back to Netherlands and watch all the West Ham games and interact on Twitter and YouTube, and so it's almost like the fact that you didn't go to the stadium didn't really matter because you've been sort of welcomed into the West Ham family, haven't you? I mean, there's people. And that's lovely. That's lovely. I think definitely.
Yeah, since I made a Twitter account, I think it was just a couple of months ago. I actually started interacting with some West Ham people, and walked into you and walked into on some other West Ham pages, and it's really open people, really great to see it. And now the season obviously is going very well as well. So that kind of optimism is, I think, also helps with welcoming new fans. I mean, I've been following them for 4 or 5 years now. And it's great to see them play this well now. And I've been as well as at the new stadium, though they were like still building it up, wasn't finished. The letters weren't on yet, but I have not been at a West Ham match yet. So that's still a dream which still has to come true one day. But hopefully,
well, when we get European football next year, and we're playing Ajax or PSV,
hopefully, that will be awesome. That will be awesome. Playing a Dutch team and seeing the fans going there, and hopefully, I know how the Dutch people will react on a little bit, like, oh, West Ham, we don't know that team, will probably beat them. Well, that's not going to happen. It's going to be a great show, and West Ham is going to make any team in Euro if they're making it, they're going to make any team difficult. Like, it's going to be a great show.
Exactly, and so in terms of you mentioned very briefly about the fact that you're doing your online studies at the moment and stuff like that. What's the dream for Lucas? What does Lucas want to do? I don't sound condescending when he grows up, but what's the vision for Lucas in terms of where he wants to be?
Well, every Sunday until 4 until 6, I host my own radio show on the local radio station here.
Cool.
And I study journalism, so I want to become a national radio host on a national radio station. So that's also why I asked, anything with DJs and anything with broadcasting interests me. So that's why I asked how you end up being the West Ham DJ, which is really cool. So anything with DJs or anything with broadcasting interests me, and mostly, of course, the radio station. And I hope to grow with my radio show to grow to a national radio station and get a daily show from Monday till Friday some days. So that's my goal. That's my
brilliant.
My dream.
That's brilliant. No, it's great. It's great, and definitely, as you said, you're doing that by the sounds of it. You're already doing local radio, and that sounds brilliant, man. And as I said, we obviously you come on the shows on a Friday, and you always speak very well there as well. So there's definitely. It's funny when you talk to people. Some people just like not. It sounds like I've only been doing it for like 9 months, but when you talk to some people just get it. So when you're talking to them, you don't have to move the conversation on. It flows quite naturally, and that makes a big difference, particularly I think when you're interviewing people. And it's the same when you interview ex-players. The ones that are still in the media, it's a lot easier because they give you all the stories and the sound bites and they're talking through. And maybe the ones who don't talk so often in the media are slightly more trickier to interview, but no, good luck to you, man. Yeah, I think that was my goal when I was young. God, I'm only 39 actually, but that was my goal, to be a sports journalist or do some radio and that's that. So I'm sort of doing it now, about probably 20 years on than I wanted to do it. So
Yeah, that's great.
the internet, you can now, can't you? You can just do it, and so it's a lot easier.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I get what you're saying with the, interviewing people and actually trying to push the conversation forward. I mentioned the differences between people in my own radio show. Some people are, coming back sometimes, but also people who I just interview one time. Some people are just a little bit tougher to get actually, get more sentence out of it or something. But I appreciate people doing the same thing as me, and I can actually think of know how they feel. So it's a little bit easier to just push some conversation forward when you know how they what they're dealing with. So.
Definitely right. But by moving the conversation on now, obviously you've only been a West Ham fan for a few years. Okay, so this will be quite a good one because actually and that's why I like to interview fans from all over the all the spectrum, from 50 years to a couple of years, same as yourself. Now, obviously, the whole point of the show is My Hammer's 11. So the idea is you put together an 11 of the players you've been alive to see play. To be honest, you probably seen a few since probably about 2016, really. So it was 5 years, but still, I mean, we've had some good players, and obviously, particularly now, we've got some very good players. So I don't think it's gonna be a bad team, to be honest. And actually, it's relatively probably a bit easier maybe than some other people's jobs who have got 50 or 60 years of players to try and put together. So we're going to try this, Lucas, and see what we come up with. So as I said, the only rule, you can pick whoever you want. It doesn't have to be the best. It could be the worst. It could be the biggest injuries. It doesn't really matter. But you have to be alive to have seen them play. It's the only rule. So that's what we do. So let's start with your 11. Let's start. What am I thinking? Let's start between the sticks. In goal, who would be in goal for the Lucas 11?
Well, I mean, for now, I can't other say Fabianski is the best keeper I saw playing at West Ham since I'm a fan. He's absolutely great, and he's played the other keeper from Juventus and the Polish team. He played him away. He's playing, he's the main goalkeeper from Poland, and he's actually doing really great at West Ham. So I couldn't say any different than Lucas Fabianski. I mean, I like Adrian as well, but I think he is not as good at Liverpool as he was at West Ham. So that was a little bit like some of the things the Dutch media doesn't really pick up and doesn't really follow. So they're saying, they start watching at a goalkeeper like Adrian when he goes to Liverpool, and they're saying, oh, what a terrible keeper, or what a bad keeper. He's making mistakes. How could he ever, end up at Liverpool? But they did not watch him playing at West Ham and actually doing great. So that was a little bit. A little bit stupid, I think. So, people.
Well, that's always the case, though, isn't it? As you said, when he's at Liverpool, so now he's in the spotlight because he's playing for Liverpool rather than West Ham. And I mean, to be honest, that's basically our life as a West Ham fan. Is that thing, But yeah, Fabianski, he's a great goalkeeper, isn't he? He's just brilliant, so consistent. You don't have to worry about him as well, which is a huge thing for a goalkeeper.
No, you can just there's nothing to worry about. It's just consistent and stable. So I think it's great to see him doing an absolute terrific job.
Sure. Okay, you put Fabianski in goal. Let's go into defence then. Let's go. We'll play. Let's play forward. Let's go left back on the left. Who are we gonna have on the left, mate?
Putting on the left, I would say, Gresswell has been playing for left back since since I'm watching West Ham. So I could not remember anyone else on that.
No, that's the thing, and that's the thing. I think for you particularly, you're going to have some players who have always just played there. So it's like it's not a bad thing. It makes your job a lot easier. I mean, Aaron Cresswell now, particularly, I think maybe half a season ago, maybe, or before Moyes came back in, he was going, Aaron Cresswell, but actually, Aaron Cresswell now. He's he's the resurgence. I mean, you've seen his resurgence. You've seen when he was probably at 2006. He was great when we signed him. Then he sort of waned a little bit, and now he's sort of reasserted himself, and it's great to see because he is a good player. He is a good player, and He's just got a wand of a left foot as well. Do you know what I mean? He's like,
Yeah, oh yeah, his cross pass is great. He can put the ball into the box, and Antonio can head it in. So no, it's a great player, and I love to see him. So it's great.
easy one. Okay, right. Okay, let's go. Let's go to the right back. Let's go to the right side. Who are we gonna have on the right back?
Well, I can. Yeah, it's going to be an easy one again, but but I can. Since Koufal came in, or Soufal came in, it's really, yeah, you can really see that the defense has grown, and
Yeah,
and it's way more consistent and getting clean sheets than before. So no, definitely a great signing from Prague, and
yeah,
and I think Koufal is one of those players where you can really see the difference between the Dutch league and the Premier League, because he actually, when he gets the ball, he actually just takes his time, stays calm, and sees where he can play the ball to Rice or to Sushag or to Fredericks or something. But in the Dutch league, they would just shoot it away and see where it ends up. And so that's really the difference between the Premier League and the Dutch league, and that's one of the players why I like watching the Premier League. So he
yeah.
definitely deserves a spot up there.
Yeah, it's an easy one, really, isn't it? To be honest, at the moment, as I said, it's we haven't had a strong right back, I think, for many years, and hopefully we can have him for a good few years now, and he'll make a big difference on that right side, definitely. Right, okay. Centre backs. Who's your first centre back going to be?
Well, the two players which are really growing on me are Dawson and Balbuena. Ogbonna, unfortunately, is now injured. But no, Dawson is really growing on me. Like every week, you can see him getting better, and you can see him, throwing it in front of the ball. He actually goes for it. So yeah, that's great to see. And I think now hopefully Balbuena will step up. Otherwise, Diop will do it. But Balbuena will step up as a great player as well. He's been at the beginning of the season. He's been doing great as well. So I would say, because of the injury of Ogbonna now, with Dawson and Balbuena as two center backs.
Okay. There we go. Okay, fair bit. Let me just put them in. So we go Fabian Balbuena. So I'm typing them in as we're going along. Fabian Balbuena and Craig Dawson. I think Craig Dawson is one of those guys who, do you know what? Fair play to the boy. Fair play to him. Do you know what I mean? He came in, no one fancied him, and he's been brilliant. He's been absolutely exceptional.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I think he's great. I think it's absolutely brilliant. And Balbuena, I think he came in and was so strong with us, and then he had a dip in form. And then beginning of this year, before Dawson came in, and before Balbuena got injured, actually, I think, and then Dawson came in, him and Oggy were like together as a pair, was very, very good. So okay, right, there we go. So we got Fabianski, Koufal, Balbuena, Dawson, Cresswell, midfield. Okay, let's go. And obviously, you can pick anyone you've seen. So let's go left, the left wing, left side. Who's going to be on the left?
So like left in front, yeah, I would say anyone I've seen, I would definitely put like the left winger, Payet.
Yeah.
He's been great at his time at West Ham. I know what happened between the time, what happened when he went away,
Yeah.
but he definitely scored some great goals, beautiful goals. So no, I definitely liked watching him. Unfortunately, what happened, but for his time, which has been at West Ham, it's been great. So I think
No, I think you're right. And people now are separating which they have done for a while since we started doing this recording. It seems that the channel is they separate Payet the person from Payet the player, and Payet the player goes straight into the team. Payet the person is a different kettle of fish, but Payet the player was phenomenal, wasn't he? Absolutely phenomenal player. And he was, arguably the technically the best player I've ever seen at West Ham, and I think probably for a while will be the best player I've ever seen at West Ham. Right, so we put Payet on the left. Let's go the other side on the right. Who will be on the right side?
Well, for now, I would put Bowen there, but I think one of those players like Benrahma now would also be able to play on the right. So they're pretty, I call it, flexible in getting which wing they are on. But to prefer the more how you call it, the more experience the player has, I would say Bowen. Both players coming from the Championship and West Ham giving them a chance in the Premier League, I think it's great. But you can see that Bowen has a little bit more experience, and I think he's a little bit older as well. But Benrahma is great as well. But just put him on the bench and like substitute him in the 70th minute or something. But no, Bowen definitely right winger.
Definitely. Yep, no, I agree. And he's had a lot of knockers this season. But I think we know he's a good player.
Yeah,
and I think he's a confidence player. I think that's for sure. So hopefully his confidence will be boosted, and then we'll see what happens. But I think he's a great player. He's a great player, and when we signed it, but he's only been with us just over a year now, and he was, and him and Souček basically saved our season last season. So I think people too quickly to forget that sometimes. So we'll put Bowen in. So we've got Pyatt on the left, Bowen on the right. Okay, we'll have a couple in the middle. Who's going to be your first sort of central midfielder player thing?
Well, central midfielder person. This last week it was a little bit doubtful for some people who were actually saying, "Hey, why is Noble standing in?" But I think he played a great match, and because he is actually the person, who made me a West Ham fan, I can't leave him out there. So absolutely, Mark Noble, the captain of West Ham. It's just it's just West Ham, Mr. West Ham. So he's great, and he is the one responsible for me watching every West Ham game. So thanks for that.
Exactly. And for a lot of people, a lot of fans, so the less experienced fans, he's been part of West Ham since they've started supporting them, same as you. But obviously you 5 years, for example, where he's some people maybe 15 years, or maybe almost about 15, 16 years, and it's going to be a big change when he's not there.
Oh yeah.
It's going to be a big change.
Until he retire, he stay as long as he can, and I think he'll definitely keep his role of that leadership function he has now at West Ham. When he retires, he'll still goes on with staff and will be there every game, I assume.
Definitely. Okay, Mark Noble. Who's Mark going to partner in the middle?
Rice definitely could leave him out there. No, Rice is great. Great player for the national team. I must say that I don't really understand why the English national team doesn't, scout players like Bowen and Antonio as well. But I'm not the one.
Because Lucas, they play for West Ham.
Yeah, that's true. But I mean, like there's kind of striker as Antonio. I think he might really, make teams like Dutch teams make it really difficult. So if I were the English coach, I would definitely start to look at West Ham a little bit more with more attention now, because there are coming great players out of it, like Bowen, like Antonio, as I said.
I think also the fact that we're going to be hopefully in the top 7. That sort of that mini league this season, that it does bring a lot of them into question. I've always thought so. I mean, we might talk about Antonio in a minute, so I'm not going to mention too much. But but he definitely gives a different option. There's no one else like him in the Premier League. From an English perspective, there's Traore at Wolves, who's basically a carbon copy of Antonio and vice versa. But he's and Rice has had to be to get established in the team. Rice has actually had to become arguably one of the best defensive midfielders in the country to get into the team, to be and even then people are saying, oh, what about Harry Winks or Eric Dyer? Rice, they couldn't clean Rice's boots. Honestly, I think he's a phenomenal player, Declan Rice. And he's so humble, and he don't shout about it. And he's one of those. It's funny because someone was saying, I was talking to someone the other day, and they said, "Why don't other fans see what we see in Declan Rice?" Because it's always to see. I mean, you got it on Twitter, Tottenham fans, Chelsea. We don't want to spend this money on Declan Rice. Yada. They don't see him week in, week out. You'll sit there and you've watched Declan Rice for 90 minutes every game this season. It's the same, I think, when we see someone like Jack Grealish,
Yeah,
Why are Villa fans so excited? Because we only see the highlights. We only see the bad bits or the good. We don't see his contribution throughout the whole game. With Declan Rice, we know his contribution throughout the whole game.
oh yeah,
It's
definitely.
immense. And no, it's funny. We have to just flip in the argument and about someone else. You go, oh yeah, fair enough. But yeah, Noble and Rice, yeah, good shouts. Okay, we've got 2 more spots in the team. Lucas, who's your first spot of those 2 going to be?
Well, the first one is going to be what you said, Antonio.
Yeah.
So he's, and a lot of people are saying we still need a striker. Well, I somehow that's 50-50 for me. I agree on it. I also don't. But you could go get another striker. But for now, this season, we definitely have to give it to him. He has scored so many goals. Every game, his contribution has been great as well, just like the rest of the team. And he definitely fits to West Ham, and such a strong guy. And he can push anyone away or something. It's just great to see. It's fun to watch, and it makes the game more exciting to watch. So definitely, Michael Antonio will be up there. Yeah.
Yeah, and as we were saying before, there's no. I don't see how he can't. There was that period where he was top striker in the league, since restart and all that type, and all these goals, and you're thinking, when they're dishing out England caps for, it looks almost like they're putting them in cereal boxes for some people. Why isn't he having a call up?
Yeah, I never
get it.
Understood, but I'm not. As soon as the Dutch team get kicked out, like in 2018, they weren't even there. I support the English team, but I don't understand why Antonio got called up for the English team.
Because, as you said, he's so different, and we're in the same way that people would criticise, Moyes would not have a plan B, or or it's a bit slow. Antonio is a plan B for England. If Harry Kane's not doing it, if Harry Kane's getting bullied, or that he's not. I mean, he's not. I don't think Harry Kane's. I've never thought he's particularly quick. I mean, he's a great finisher. There's no doubt about that. But he's not quick. He's not particularly mobile, I'd say. Throwing on Antonio for 20 minutes, and just let him terrorise their strike, their defense. I think there's a real option there, which they haven't seemed to got have pressed the button on it yet. So we'll see. But no, I think Antonio is brilliant. The fact he's come through from non-league football as well means he really does appreciate. You can tell he appreciates. He really tries hard. I think previously to his detriment, because he'd almost try so hard. He's slow. He's not slowed down. That's the right expression. He's calmed down his runs. It seems he's a bit more sort of doesn't run after everything. That's the trouble. His early West Ham career, he'd run after everything like a little like a puppy dog, chasing a stick, and that wasn't helping him because he's getting knackered after 60 minutes. He's a bit more. Because he's playing up front on his own, he's a bit more reserved and selective on his runs, and I think that makes a huge difference. So yeah, it's just a shame.
Like what you said with the English team, if Harry Kane isn't doing it, Michael Antonio can be a plan B. I think that would be a perfect fit for the English team, because Harry Kane is a player in all of Europe, which is pretty famous. He has a kind of status, but with all due respect, Antonio isn't really as famous as Kane is. But if you put him in as plan B, the defense of the other team might be like, who's that? And then before you know it, he has made a goal, Antonio. So that definitely will be
definitely
can be a good advantage for the English team.
Most definitely. Right. Okay. So we've got one more spot left. Who's that spot going to be, Lucas?
Well, I must say, just because I really like this way of playing, and for me on my FIFA, he is like the rescue plan. He if I'm down, and he comes in and he will score a goal. Just put the ball out in the box, and Andy Carroll will shoot it in. So,
Andy Carroll. Sorry, I didn't mean I'm out of it. Let me find Andy Carroll. Sorry, I pressed the wrong button. My bad. Andy Carroll. Do. Lovely Andy Carroll. There we go. Andy. Oh God, why is it? My things come up like peaches with all different.
Arnautovic was a great player too, though. Not that, but Andy Carroll was. He's when you're down 1-0 and you need to make the equalizer in the 58 minutes or 85. He's definitely a great player for put him in. So
I think, and I think Andy Carroll was again, one of those unfortunate players that got injured quite a lot with us and never really had a fair crack of games. But when he was a bit like Antonio. When Antonio's got the bit between his teeth, he's unstoppable. And that was the same with AC as well. He was once he had the bit between his teeth, once he was up to speed, once he was relatively injury free for a few games, he would terrorise it. I love attackers who command at least two defenders because it means there's always someone free. There's always a set, and he would do that. And he was a good player. And I thought, ironically, when obviously he came, when Newcastle came to play us beginning of the season, and he ended up playing the bloody 90 minutes or whatever, absolutely typical. But I just thought he was a good player for us, and he was what we needed when we went up. He was what we needed. We needed like a catalyst player. We needed a big player to just be there for us. You know what I mean? Just be the man behind it. And he was a top guy. Right, so that's the team. Let me bring up the team. There we go, because people moaned about my scoreboards. Let me bring it back in. Right, so there we go. Fabianski, Kufal, Balbuena, Dawson, Cresswell, Bowen, Noble, Rice, Pyatt, Antonio, and Carroll up front. What could have been with Antonio and Carroll? That would have been a brilliant partnership up front, wouldn't it? Just, if you was a defender turning up that day and you've got Andy Carroll and Antonio ready to roll, you'd be crapping yourself. You'd definitely go down in the warm up. I've got Amy, mate. Got Amy, but no, it's brilliant, man. Very, very good.
Speaking of, it's players who can make another team's defense it's pretty difficult. Is people now at West Ham are saying, you guys need to go get a striker. Well, if we do, it might be a good shot. If I'm tipping a player now, so I'm selling a player. But I would say if you need another striker, if West Ham wants to buy a striker, I would say Wout Weghorst. He's a Dutch player. He plays at Wolfsburg. I don't know if you heard of him, but he definitely will make goals. Like, I know West Ham doesn't have good experiences with Dutch players, but might give him another shot, and he will be a player who will lay every ball in the goal. Like, he will head in every ball. You should look him up. Like, at Wolfsburg, he makes a lot of goals, like tons.
Brilliant.
He's a fit player. He's one of those players like Carroll who can, if a defender is playing against him, he won't have a great night. He will be. He will be.
We love him. Well, there we go. Not only are we going for your 11, you're doing scouting tips for us as well, Luke.
Yeah, scouting tips. Yeah, there you go.
Very good. Lucas, man, it's been lovely chatting for you. We finally got it sorted, which is great. I hope you have a lovely weekend as well, man. I hope you have a good weekend. Chill out and enjoy, and don't worry about West Ham until Monday. And obviously, thank you to everyone for watching or listening. Whatever you do, give it a like, give it a share. And from myself and from Lucas, take care, everyone. Stay safe. Wash those hands, get those jabs. Come on, you irons, and we'll see you again very, very soon. Take care, everyone. Much love.